So this is going to be part of our ongoing series on what to do to the French defense since we're e4 openers here. And this is another Alekhine-Chedard example of the first principle of the unsound chess world, basically, is don't do what they want. That is a big principle. In other words, people spend a lot of time preparing these openings, and they really are into their pawn structures and various things, and they're very familiar with the different tactics that occur in different positions in that particular world that they live in. And if you take them out of that world, they get very uncomfortable very quickly. And so, once again, this is not a Winiver, but it's similar to one. And we're going to go after the h7 pawn, although he manages to move it to h6 in this game, as I recall. So, without further ado, we're going to look at another strong opening by Black, by a strong, highly rated blitz player. And we'll turn on our engine, and we'll show you where they fail, not to mention where I fail. So, as we know, I'm willing to live with equality out of the opening. And this is the Alekhine-Chedard attack. So now we have a choice. Do we retreat the bishop and, we have equality, or trade the bishop off, as the computer suggests, and still have basic equality, or do we gambit a pawn? Here's my answer. So smart people don't take that pawn, but it is takeable. That's to prevent an exchange followed by knight to b5, which is kind of a threat, especially if he wants to move his knight, his b knight. So now the right move is queen to g4, which I played, and this player took this bishop at this point, which very few people I've ever seen do. Okay, so we recapture. Now if you analyze the position, what we've got is he has the ability to undermine our pawn chain with c5, and we're going to have to try to protect e5 in that case. On the other hand, we have a fully developed h-file and rook, and we have a queen that's out, and we have a fairly easy development that should follow. So c5 is the correct move, and you're going to see we're playing a lot of the standard moves he should take, but instead he reinforces. Now it says I should take. So this is not something that I often do and allow somebody to have the e-pawn. However, I play this move g6. So I just came up with that move during the game, and it looked to me like a strong move. And it's obvious there's a pin on the h-file, but not so obvious what happens if he just takes with the f-pawn. And the computer recommends f5 as the appropriate response. And this person over the board found f5, so either they were using a computer or they were very familiar with this position. And since I've never been in this position before, I have to admit I'm slightly suspicious. So at this point, it's an even game if I just move queen to f4. And a lot of very strong players have often done that sort of thing. I tend to like to dissolve those center pawns, and I know that's not as strong in some cases as what players do, but we can move queen to f4, and then if he takes the c pawn, we can just like retreat to e2 and then recapture things like that, castle queenside, preserve some things. He has to worry about the h7 pawn, but I like trying to keep the position open, especially when I have a pawn on g6. So as you can see, the computer doesn't like it. The computer says that that's not as good as equality. Now I should be retreating. Instead I move queen to f4, kind of lining myself up with his rook if he decides to castle. Now it says he should just go ahead and take my pawn, because if I take back, it gets very complex. Instead, he makes that move. So I hadn't really considered that move. It's an interesting move. I'd considered a lot of other moves, so that was a bit of an eye-opener. Now the pawn's just sitting there at g6, and maybe he's going to move like knight to e7 and take it. So I castle long, and he has the advantage here. And we keep trading the advantage back and forth, but it's a very small advantage. It's either equal or half a pawn. So now it says he should attempt to trade queens with queen to b8. Obviously my knight move was a rather aggressive move, and there are lots of things in the air, such as going to f7 here. He castles right into it, which it turns out gives him equality. So I should be exchanging again, which of course I don't do. And now he's playing all the correct computer moves, queen to e7. And now the computer says the right way for me to attack is to move g4 and follow it up with g5 probably. shots did I take? And once again, I'm close to equality or down. All these positions are basically equal positions according to the computer. It's rather interesting. So, says he should be attacking my knight. He should be worried about a sack in h6 though. So now he chases my queen, and it says that I can play knight to d5 here successfully. Instead, I make the cowardly move, queen to h4, which once again results in equality. So this is getting a little bit complicated now, because I do have a variety of threats, and there are pins and double attacks and things like that going on. My queen's covered over there, so d5 is actually capturable. Now it says he should move bishop to e6, but he pushes pawn, which results in a mate in 8, which of course I miss. However, I get the first move right, and the subsequent moves follow easily, and it's an easy win. So he pushes, and the sack happens, and now it says I should check with the bishop, followed by taking with the queen. I get the move ordered somewhat incorrect. He moves there, then I check, allowing him to get out of the mate basically, but also lose a whole rook. So yes, it was a blunder according to the computer that I didn't mate him an 8. However, I'm up 23, so at this point the player resigned. So this is an example again of the Alekhine shattered attack and a rather strange g6 move, just to show you that it is possible to make moves like that and come out well. That's the end of this episode.